Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Crombie Radio Wire on Saga 960. As lots of you may know, I love getting to know new technologies and new companies, and I want to introduce you today to the founder of Display Social. It's a new social media platform that's really quite interesting, and the founder and CEO, John Acunto, is joining us tonight. John, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. So tell me, what is Display Social?
Oh, Display Social is a creator app that looks to help creators monetize in their social media. So we are a full social media app, and we allow creators to post content. And when ads run on that content, we pay them 50% of the ad revenue we generate on the content they post.
And how would this be different from other platforms that we all are familiar with, like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or something like that?
Well, it's open to everybody. There's not some qualification process. There's not some meet this number or meet that number. Users can come in, simply register, take their content and post it. The other thing is it's a lot when you think about the creative community as a whole. The majority of the people don't monetize their content. When you think about sort of the 99.9% don't, and the 0.01% do. And so being able to provide a platform that provides the 99.9 the opportunity to monetize their content and even to monetize their data, right? So we all are valuable. Our friendships are valuable. And when we post content, for instance, for our family to see, and then our family come onto that platform and they view that content, well, that's valuable. Maybe your uncle drives a Mercedes, and maybe he lives in a certain community, and maybe he golfs, and those advertisers are advertising on his presence. His presence is there because you're influencing him to come onto the platform and look at your content. Maybe it's a picture of your child, or maybe it's a picture of you at the park or your family enjoying things. So when we think about content, we sort of dismiss that the everyday pieces of connection and community somehow are less valuable. And in fact, they are valuable because they're a part of the connective tissue of a social network.
So this is not just people that are producing programs or more blogs. This is for everybody. That's producing
for everybody.
Pictures or just comments.
That's right. And because content is valuable, right? And it's valuable to the person consuming it, right? So, maybe you and I are not into stamp collecting, right? But when somebody creates content around stamp collecting and people then, migrate to that platform to consume that content, it's valuable to them. It's valuable to that community. So when you look at sort of how the landscape of social has been set up, it's really trying to pay the professional creator and not really trying to pay the individual that has compelling content that brings audience.
So how do people get on this this platform? On YouTube or Facebook, the benefit is that millions, if not billions, of people are already on that network.
Yeah, that's true. We use sort of a case example. So we take a individual. So let's take somebody who's an aerobics instructor, and let's say maybe on Facebook or Instagram, they have a following of 500 people. On our platform, there's a whole series of value-added options for them to monetize their business today. Here's an example. Number one is that individual could post content live using Dolby live streaming, which we have a great relationship with Dolby. We're excited to have of her doing her aerobics. When she's concluded with her aerobics, that turns into short form content that her followers can see and to which she can monetize. But there's one other component. We have a partnership with Amazon and with other partners that allow for her to have a marketplace at no cost, instantaneous. It takes about 30 seconds to set up. It's quite amazing. And when she offers or he offers products for sale to her followers, she earns half the affiliate revenue of that. So that can be very compelling. Think about Amazon. It owns Whole Foods. It has a whole series of assets. So it could be a meal plan. It could be a mat. It could be all these other clothing, right? And that's super important to that person, right? Because there's probably a zero chance that somebody with 500 followers is going to attract a brand that's going to want them to earn money off supporting those products that they influence. But the people that follow her, those 500 people, they follow her because she teaches a great class, helping them get in shape. She's drawing audience. So when she brings that audience to our platform, she has a real 360-degree opportunity to fully monetize her influencing value to the people that follow. These opportunities don't exist. They're just at all in the social media landscape.
We're chatting tonight with John Acunto. He is the founder and CEO of a technology company called Display Social. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with John in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour in Saga 960. We're focused on new technology companies, and Display Social is the topic tonight. We've got the founder and CEO, John Acunto, with us. John, tell us a little bit about the history. How did you get started with Display Social? How long has it been around? What's your sort of status of development, if you could?
Yeah, so we started building Display about 2 years ago, and it's been an exciting adventure. Building a social network is quite a lot of work. We have messaging in our product. We have live video component, as we talked about with Dolby Live Video. We have a connection with stores like Amazon and others to provide merchandise and product. We've got a whole series of these very powerful features, almost like individual apps, content moderation. So we've spent quite a couple of years building out the product. We launched the product sort of officially back in early summer, and we've done quite well. We've got millions and millions of users that have found their way onto our platform and are beginning to monetize globally. And the timeline has also been interesting. We sort of saw as COVID sort of began enclosing people into their homes that we started seeing more and more people start to look at how can we monetize our presence? And so we've seen a lot of people get really serious in our platform and start looking at ways to truly monetize.
Are you private, public?
Yep, we're private right now. We've enjoyed a whole series of great financing rounds. We aren't disclosing any current valuations right now, but our last fundraising when we launched was at a 250 million valuation. So, and we've definitely grown a lot since then, and have a lot of exciting new technologies. We're currently, active in the metaverse and have been in that space since April, and have some exciting community projects that we can maybe talk about, and NFTs. We're excited about bringing to our creative community the ability to mint an NFT from your camera instantly and at no cost, and in seconds. So you could capture content or take content from your library and instantly mint that NFT and put it into our platform or put it into a marketplace and actually sell it.
Okay, let's
and down the road, put it in the metaverse, which is even more exciting. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these, just in case people aren't familiar with them. What is the metaverse?
Well, it's interesting. We saw obviously Facebook made a huge rapid transition. I think myself and others that are in this space see the power of a metaverse. A metaverse is really where we combine our real world activities and we put it into sort of a virtual world. So because a virtual world is experiential and there are no barriers or limits, a metaverse is a place where you could have an infinite shopping experience. You could have an infinite concert experience. You could have an infinite gathering with people. You could have 1 million people or 3 people. You could have unlimited things because the metaverse is creating how and what you see even. So let's say you're walking down a street in a digital environment and you like candy, you drive a Lexus, and you like Nike shoes. Well, those would be the retail stores when you walk down the street that you would see. So you would see stores of interest, or you would see things that maybe you aspire to, or maybe things that you enjoy. You would see friends and people that you know. You wouldn't see just random strangers. So you're comfortable in having talks and communication using yourself as a avatar. These spirits of creating these virtual communities was unthought of happening as quickly. COVID has accelerated that space by at least a decade. And when we look at the data, especially the data we saw in April, Brian, it was absolutely astonishing to find that the 5 to 19-year-old category, over 90% were represented by an avatar during that period of time. The engagement of us talking on Zoom.
Over 90% of these teenagers were represented by an avatar.
Yeah, it's insane. That was a transition that made Display say we need to make an immediate pivot ourselves. Back in April, we actually signed a partnership in May with one of the best, which we'll be announcing soon. We're super excited with what we're building in the metaverse. We were doing that right along with, I'm certain, Facebook and others. We knew that the shift was going to be violent when we saw that information. But the secondary part of the information was technology wasn't as scary for people. Brian, look, you can have these conversations on Zoom and it's not as scary. You don't feel as disconnected. Even though you're in your home, you feel like you have that connection. And so for the first time, really, technology has created this experience that was less cold, right? We softened it. We personalized the experience. And so a metaverse now has an opportunity to continue that trend of lessening that cold feeling and bringing in more of that community and experience. And companies obviously like Facebook truly know that that's the next step. And certainly we know that as well. The Web 3.0 thinking.
So Display Social, how is it different with and without metaverse?
Well, I think when you look at who we are as an overall entity, we believe in providing tools and products for creators. A metaverse is a creator world. It's an independent creator world. This isn't, there's not some meta company that may think they own this huge thing called the metaverse. The metaverse is going to be created by individual creators and small companies and groups that have creative ideas and create exciting things. And so we support sharing the revenue with those creators. We support building communities that these creators can share the revenue in, right? Not trying to hog and own all of that money, but to share that wealth, if you will. And we also see the connection between our current app and a metaverse as really being community and foundational. Being able to come into our product and post an NFT and post content, and then when you want to join a community and talk about golf or some interest that you have, we can bring you into a metaverse experience. And I think the most exciting part about the metaverse, when you think about it as communities or hobbies or interests, is can you think of a hobby or interest that a brand is not involved in? So for example, if it's knitting, there are brands that support people that knit as a hobby or as an interest or as a career. If it's golf, there's brands that support that hobby and interest. And what's interesting is that we want to interact with those brands. We want to learn what the new ski gear is, or we want to learn what the new golf equipment is and how does it work and what differentiates it from what I have. How can I get better at this hobby? How can I advance? If I'm a mountain climber, I want the best gear, the safest gear, the newest gear, the gear that's going to create a nice experience. If I'm in camping, it's the same thing. So being able to create metaverses around communities and around hobbies and interests allow for us to also create relationships with brands in a whole new way. It allows us as consumers to allow those brands to support that experience. And so we see that shift being super important. And I think for users and creators, an exciting time.
You mentioned NFTs several times. Please explain to everyone what an NFT is and what you do with it on Display Social.
Well, being able to being able to create content is great, and being able to monetize content is great, which is at the core of what Display Social is about, is being at the core of this creator economy. But being able to have an NFT or a non-fungible token really allows you to create content and for you to own your content that you've created and put it onto a blockchain. And so what does that mean? That means that now as time goes on, and if that content gets monetized outside of Display, you are able to keep a record of that. You're able to see where it's being monetized, and you're able to also create a contract where if somebody wants to use your content, they would have to pay you, and that money would come back to your digital wallet. There's a super amount of confusion about that, that NFTs are just around art. And I think the fact that it started there has created that confusion. We could create an NFT ticket where you could have a concert that only has 1,000 NFT tickets. And if you want to come and see that concert, you have to have that ticket, which means that if someone issues an NFT ticket to a concert and I want to resell it, let's say I buy it, Brian, you have a ticket that you want, you buy the ticket for $10. The tickets go way up in price. There's a secondary NFT marketplace. You put your ticket up for sale and I buy it for $20. Well, interesting. You made $10 selling that ticket that's very exclusive and highly coveted to go to that concert. But the concert promoter gets 30% commission or 40% commission or 50% or whatever it might be off the sale of that. So the promoter, by offering an exclusive event as an example of NFT's power, of 1,000 tickets, they might make more on the resale marketplace by getting a commission off everything that happens in the resale. Sort of like Super Bowl tickets, here in the, in the US, we have this big event, Super Bowl, and the tickets to get in are face value $275, but they sell for $5,000, $10,000, $12,000. Imagine if the NFL were able to make money off all of that secondary market action. And so that's what NFTs afford. It affords for a contract to be created, for content or an item to be put on a blockchain, and for that record to be recorded. So we see that directly impacting creators. It directly impacts how you can create content, you can create an experience, you can create tickets, you can create what you need, and you're going to be able to create these things without having fees. Today, if you want to create an NFT, you could pay $500, $600 or $1,000 up front to get it onto exchange, known as a gas fee. It just depends on how fast you want to get it on. On our platform, it's free.
So if I post something on Display Social, I can create an NFT of it for free?
Free. Now, we do take our fees if the item sells, but but that's a fair thing, right? I mean, you have to pay at some point, but we want to encourage people to create and be a part of this experience. And we know that it's complicated. So let's take the complication out. Let's bring people into that world. Let's help educate them. And let's give that, again, going back to our very first discussion about empowering the individual creator, the creator in us. Let's empower that. Let's give those creators an opportunity, no matter whether you're a parent or whether you are, a child, give you the opportunity to join the creator economy.
Display Social, is this an app? Is it a website? Do I log in? Do I have to invite my friends to log in? Tell me the logistics.
Download it from Google Play, download it from Apple. Check us out. All these things, NFTs are coming soon. This feature's absolutely going to be exciting. You'll be hearing lots from us in the coming weeks and months on amazing metaverse experiences and communities and some very exciting things. This is an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time to want to be a part of watching this major shift that's about to happen. We've all been so blessed to see the creation of a personal computer. Then we've seen that expansion of us having this amazing ability to create content and information and putting it onto the web where the whole world's information is stored. And then we saw it compressed to a phone. And now we're about to see the amazing experiences that having them visual experiences with all that information, all that content, it's just going to be an amazing time for our children to live and have the experiences.
We're chatting tonight with John Akunto. He is the CEO and founder of a social media company called Display Social that pays creators for their content 50% of all the money they make versus the small pittance that you'd get on some of the other social media sites. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with John in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight about really the future of technology, the metaverse and NFTs, and we're chatting with John Akunto, who is the founder and CEO of a new entity, a new social media platform called Display Social. And John, let me just try to explore for people exactly how this works, and if it's okay, I'm going to use me as an example. So I'm on every night on the AM radio, and I've talked to a couple of people like you about being on AM radio, and they go, "What's AM radio?" But still, some people listen to AM radio. Believe it or not, I'm the drive home guy, and then the radio station tries to monetize and/or get more listeners and viewers by number one, taking the radio show and putting it online as a podcast. And so I'm on Apple Podcast, Audible Podcasts, Speakeasy, etc. And then in addition, what we do is we do videos, and the videos go on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And so we're getting a whole bunch of other uses of the content, both the spoken word as well as the visual, etc. What's different in Display Social than all of that? And just
what an amazing question.
I've been on the radio for 2 years. I got over 500 shows, so I'm not just your aerobics instructor that's doing 10 minutes, but still it's AM radio, which is sort of old tech.
Yeah. So you're actually the perfect case for display. So you got two scenarios. You have two buckets that are super important. Your first bucket is reach. And boy, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, even YouTube are amazing at reach. They've scaled their businesses to the billions, gives you an opportunity to promote. But let's look at the value of your content and how you need to have a greater control around those assets. And control being, how much money do I really monetize my content? So your second bucket is sort of your pay gate. So your first bucket is reach, your second bucket is pay gate. So when you look at your scenario, you would want to look to reach out and say, check me out, check out my content. Here's a preview. Come to this platform where I do earn more money and check out this content. Obviously, the user isn't paying for it, but you're monetizing it in a higher way. The other thing is that we haven't talked. We have an amazing patented feature that allows users to choose to support you. But now on Facebook and Instagram and other platforms, they also have similar support buttons, Brian. But when you click that button, they want you to enter a credit card. Now, when we created our product, when you hit that support button, a small 3-second ad appears on your phone, meaning that I, as a follower of you, Brian, can support you directly, individually, quickly by pushing a button, watching a 2-second ad. And I can hit that button 4 million times if I want, if I choose to continue to support you. Now, why is that important? Because you can begin to monetize an international audience and not need a credit card. So your little AM show that is just centered maybe in a local area or regional area now can have worldwide reach with the ability to get paid worldwide, and to do that with people that support and believe in you. So you don't just have that platform content that goes out there. You have the ability for the platform itself that supports your content to give you that individual support. You also have the ability to recommend books. So Brian, today, how much money are you making recommending books?
None.
Right? Well, there you go. So as you look at, and I say books just to really drive home that Amazon relationship, the ability to pick any book, Brian, that really influences you for the topic of a particular program, maybe that night, and the ability for that store to be created every day. So literally every day, you could change your store, change the books, the content of your store, and you're earning money on that. That doesn't exist on any other platform right now for you, right? So as you start looking at Brian's business of reaching and engaging with the world with all of your amazing guests and commentary, how do you monetize that? And how do you bring that back home into your checkbook or into your parent company's checkbook? And that matters, right? Because the other platforms are really more about reach. And then they pay you based upon how far you reach. And that model doesn't work for Brian building his core business, which happens to be, distributing ideas, distributing content, and earning off all of your influence. For example, today, if we were doing this particular broadcast on display, we could recommend a book on the metaverse. And those that are interested would be able to quickly click, consume that book, learn a little bit more about all these exciting things that we're talking about, and Brian would get a check.
Okay, so I interview a bunch of technology companies, healthcare companies, vaccine companies, startups, et cetera, comparable to Display Social. And lots of them will take the video of the show and put it on their LinkedIn and put it on their website. What would happen in Display Social? How could Display Social be involved in that?
Well, I mean, you could take Display Social's content and share it to any platform. Again, sharing that professional content is great. Monetizing that content is even better. And the thing is, and here's the part that's awesome, is if I share your show onto my platform and that show gets redirected back to you, that person who's viewing that show back to you, you're monetizing the reach outside of what's been posted to your YouTube channel. So there are lots of people that are taking content and posting that content outside of the paywall, meaning your show might end up on another site where it's not monetizing to you, right? And so that's happening quite often, actually. So we are a secure paywall for your content as well. But you can just drive people to our platform. They can have a social experience.
As I said, I've got over 500 shows. Should I just pick them up and move them all to Display Social?
Well, yes and no. I think probably the best part for you is to sort of think about where we are today as a world. Is we're actually backwards in 1977 to 1982 when cable first started. It's an exciting time, right? It's an exhilarating time. So at that time, ABC, CBS, and NBC dominated the world, Brian. They owned individual niche content started going, and they really weren't competitors, right? TBS really wasn't a competitor to CNN, and ESPN wasn't a competitor. It was just expanding niche reach. You should absolutely get your content to the ABC, CBS, and NBCs, and you should look at platforms like us that help you monetize and create pay gates as a place where you should be storing, housing, and directing that niche content to the niche audiences that you reach out to. But sort of having an opportunity to take your show to ABC, CBS, and NBC is smart business today. But as cable grows, as platforms like us grow and gain more users and gain a larger audience, and you have a pay gate, if you ignore it, you're not building the audiences in the places that pay. And that can come back to bite, right? Because today, cable runs the show and those three networks are the minority, right? And so had you built the relationship with the TBS and had you built the relationship with these other networks, your content could live and be paid for on all of those channels of cable. And there's multiple examples of that why we're back in that cable, because we don't view Facebook as competition. We don't view Instagram as competition. We wish them all the best of success, and we think they are wildly successful. And we really truly believe that the product that we offer is unique. And the same way a Ted Turner would say that CNN was unique to the market.
So if people want to check out Display Social, what's the easiest and best way to do it?
Go to your app store on whatever device you have and download us and give it a try. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a great experience. There's an amazing community that's blossoming there. And I think We don't have users, we have creators, and everyone is a creator. Brian, everyone that listens to your show, everyone is a creator. And so, start monetizing.
After the word creator or monetizer, the word that you've used the most in our interview is community. And you
Yes.
stressed how you create communities in Display Social. What's a
Yes.
community to you?
A community is people with similar thoughts and interests that want to collectively get together and share ideas, share content, communicate, connect. Where, I actually think of communities back when I was in high school, and I used to sit back in amazement watching those that you could almost tell what music people listen to, right? You had the goths, you had the rock guys, you had the jocks, you had the preps, you had the this. And it was just interesting how we automatically divide into communities of interest automatically, musical interests or whatever those interests may be. So it's super exciting for me. Communities is about like-minded people that are sharing ideas and interests, and it's the core of who we are as people.
One of the things that I think has been in front of the federal government in the United States of late, in regards to Facebook and some of the other social media platforms, is how we become an echo chambers, which is sort of a community that ends up having really solid walls, and we only talk to people that have political interests comparable to our own, and conspiracy theories can ferment, etc. Is that a problem with Display Social as well? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so it's one of the core principles of our platform is not to create AI. There's a very, very dangerous thing happening right now to our children and to ourselves with some of these social platforms that want to just monetize you. And monetization should be a part of a bigger picture, not an individual picture. And so when you individually monetize somebody, you got to keep them engaged. You got to keep them interested. And so algorithms are designed to keep you going down this vortex. Well, as you go down your individual interests, good or bad, you actually begin the process of being removed from community, being removed from ideas, foundational ideas. For example, we've seen professional college graduate athletes that have went down the vortex of believing flat Earth and that the Earth is flat, and then they went on Dr. Phil. This is an amazing story. They went on Dr. Phil, and he brought on all these experts, and he was like, "My God, you're right. I was brainwashed into thinking almost after going down this vortex that the Earth was flat, and that's a very dangerous thing. But when you politicize that, it's the cause for civil wars. It's a cause for unrest. It's a cause for political instability. And I think that our leaders around the world have recognized the danger of the algorithm, not the danger of anything else. It is truly an algorithm issue. We don't use algorithms in that way, nor will we ever. And we're doing it for our children. I'm a father of 5. The last thing I want is my kid brainwashed into thinking that the world is flat, or that that some leader has all the answers to every problem in the world and they're the only person you should hear.
So what's the solution to this? Should we be outlying algorithms?
I think I think that we've got to get away from the individual algorithm. I think that as a world, we've got to look at, it's okay to serve content. Listen, the U.S. stance against TikTok, and TikTok's a great platform. It's right. It's a very dangerous thing to have an algorithm that's controlled potentially by a government, that can move us into our way of thinking. When we talk and we look at our content we consume, especially as it gets into video more and more, it's a very dangerous thing. You now have the ability to create an addictive product that's informing you incorrectly. And we're easily persuaded. And we're persuaded by people that influence us. So we are in a very, very dangerous time as well. And I think, unfortunately, we look to the world leaders to solve this problem. I think technologists like myself and around the world are are doing the best we can to put our white hat on and say we really want to not participate in that type of engaged service. Now, it might come at an expense. We might not have the most addicting feed. We might not have something that is addictive as a product. And you know what? We're willing to take that risk because at the end of the day, we want to serve a great experience of communities. We don't want to serve as being a part of civil unrest.
Why is it so addictive?
It's the algorithm. It's feeding what you want to see. These algorithms basically look at what you consume by the number of time. Let's say a video is 2 minutes, and you consume more than half that video. They know exactly what the video is about. They know who else saw that video. They look at the complexities between what you've watched versus what the other people have watched the full video have watched. What communities are they a part of? And that algorithm quickly throws together, wow, this guy's looking at flat earth stuff and he watched more than half. And we know other people that like flat earth. This is what they watch. And there's a lineup of all this stuff that sends you down a vortex. And it's a vortex of what you might find interesting. That can include anything, right? And psychologically feeding an idea and giving you potentially false information and false narrative around an idea is only reinforcing a false idea. So the more videos you watch around a false idea with what appear to be intelligent perspective around a false idea, it's still false premise, right?
Okay, so I buy books on Amazon and I listen to books on Audible, and frankly, I like the stuff that they recommend because it is based on entrepreneurial books or startup company books that I want to read. So some algorithms are helpful.
Well, but that's a recommendation engine. That's completely different than a social media algorithm. See, recommendation engines are not there to keep you engaged on ads. They're there to sell you products. So these are completely different algorithms, and we don't want to confuse them, right? They're not even in the same stratosphere, right? So I know that you bought this book. I know other people that bought that book. Let me recommend you a book. How do I keep you watching content long enough so that you watch and consume an ad? That's completely different. That means I got to get you addicted into a topic that's completely engaging to you. And the algorithm is searching for a way to get you addicted. Much different. I can't get you addicted to a book.
So these conspiracy theories, QAnon and stuff like this, are you suggesting that they're addictive?
I'm suggesting that they spawn from social media. And I listen, there are Netflix programs, there are people that have worked at many social networks that have raised the alarm. It's a reality. The reality is it social media, if done incorrectly or if done for just the spirit of money, is bad. It's bad, right? I mean, it's unhealthy if done incorrectly. And I think that our social media leaders need to do better, right? And it's going to be difficult, right? Because they're pushed by the public markets to not be more soft and on the ad front, but to be more aggressive. And so that just a little tweak of that algorithm can get you watching another 3 minutes, 5 minutes a day, could be billions of dollars in profits. But yet if what you're consuming is false information, and that's the rabbit hole that they're sending you down to get their profits, bingo, you lose. And our countries lose and our world loses, right? Because now we've got a bunch of people believing. I mean, look at the vaccine story. The country is completely around the world. There are people where they believe it's bad and they believe it's good. And then you hear stories about people are dying from the vaccine en masse, or people are having this. No matter what your stance is on vaccines, right? Tens of millions of people have not died from the issuance of a vaccine anywhere. But yet, if you watch content on some social platforms and you watch it enough, you could come to believe scientifically that it's bad for you. Well, who's responsible for that message? Who's responsible for continuing to deliver you that message that gets you to believe that? The user isn't responsible. They're being served content. They believe that content has some kind of vetting. They believe that content has some kind of element of truth because the person looks credible. In fact, it's all not true. And it's all not scientifically based. It's based around that creator wanting to monetize, and it's based around a platform that wants you in a vortex.
So what's the What's the obligation for these platforms to make sure what they are publishing, what they're broadcasting, what they're putting on their platform is truth?
Well, that's in the U.S. There's a particular policy that has made companies exempt from being responsible, right? And that is the message board law, right? Which is the easy way to sort of explain it, where hey, a message board can't be responsible for the message put on the board. And if we make them responsible, nobody's going to have a message board, and there's going to be no way for us to communicate messages in an online community. So companies like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikToks and everybody have relied on this exemption from being responsible. Now, the U.S. has said, wait a minute, listen, you guys have crossed the line of being a publisher. And so there is some responsibility here. And of course, they push back and go, no, we're not responsible. What I'm saying to you is that not only is the platform responsible, but if you're weaponizing lies, you're responsible. So if somebody puts on a message board that the earth is going to blow up tomorrow, and you now use your algorithm and weaponize it by shifting it and distributing it to users, then you are becoming the publisher and distributor of that lie. And that's the fine line that social networks have to balance, right? And they don't want to balance it. They don't want to face that because that's a revenue problem. That's a profit problem, but it's a social problem, right? It's a problem for us as humans that people are profiting on lies. And I think election after election now, first it was a 2016, now we've got a 2020 cycle, and we're seeing it in 2018, we're seeing it around the globe, where those lies turn into what appear to be truths and misinformation. And that's what I meant by politicizing. As we begin doing that, that's where that unrest comes from, right? Is they're going to distribute what makes them money. They're not necessarily in the business of distributing truth. So if you have an interest in the lie, they're going to serve that ad.
We're having a fascinating conversation with John Acunto tonight about social media, and specifically about Display Social, a company that he is the founder and CEO of, that monetizes content that producers create. We're going to take a final break and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We've been having a really interesting chat with the founder and CEO of Display Social, which is an app that content creators can post their content on and get better monetization of their content. And I'm going to have to check it out because it sounds really quite fascinating. And we're chatting with John Acunto, who is the founder and CEO. John, how's Display Social going to be different on these issues like metaverse and algorithms and NFTs and not politicizing or politicizing content?
Well, I think we're looking at supporting a creative community, and we define that as everyone. But we want everyone to sort of join the community with the perspective of, I'm joining as a creator. I'm not joining for politics or what have you. We have millions of users on our platform, Brian. Do you know that politics isn't even in the top 1,000 topics? There's not even a political community with more than 1,000 people in it. People are talking about arts and sciences and shoes and shirts and travel. World travel is one of our greatest communities, where people are sharing photos from around the world and their adventures and the things they've done. Why? Because they're coming at it from being a creator. They're coming at it from, let me share my experiences. Let me document them. And if you're interested, follow along and maybe I can share my life with someone else and actually make money sharing some exciting things in my experiences. For me, most exciting thing about life is with social media is that without it, we don't get to share all these fun moments in our life that are quite awesome, right? If we look at pre-social media, going to the kid's soccer game and having the kid kick that winning goal, isn't it amazing? You can capture that moment when that child makes you so proud, and we can share it with friends and family and strangers, even, that they can share our excitement of our experiences as we travel through life. And so I think it's how you approach community, how you approach a social network that will help develop a really cool community. And we're really excited about welcoming creators, people that want to share experiences, people that want to enjoy content. In terms of expanding into metaverses and NFT, these are all extensions of our creativity. It's all extensions of what our mind is capable of doing by creating and sharing experiences. We all look for that person to travel with us throughout life. We call them our life partners, and we marry them, and we share our life or not marry them, but they're our life partners, and we want to be a witness to their life. Social media allows all of us to be a witness to your experiences in your life, and for all of us to feel your pains and your joys and your happiness. And when people log in to a platform to consume that content about your life experiences, you should be getting paid. And as bad as that sounds, it's just the reality. And when you have behemoths sucking the literal life out of you, and they're making 100% of the money, shame on you. Shame on you for letting them take from you all of those experiences and all those life experiences that people want to follow, and for them to keep all the money that you rightfully earned for your story. This is your book, it's your chapter, it's your life, and it's your ability to monetize. So that's what we're building, and we're excited to do it.
And again, remind people how they can access you. They go to the Apple Store, to Google, and download.
Absolutely. Download Display Social and come in and join our community and be active, right? Join communities, meet new people. Everyone there is truly a creator. It's a global app. Millions of people are truly having a good time and making money. Every day, money gets deposited into their account in our app, and we pay tens of thousands of creators every day who want to just have a good time and enjoy life and the journey.
John Akunto, who is the founder and CEO of Display Social, thanks so much for joining us and talking a little bit about technology and about your company, Display Social. It sounds fascinating. This is Brian Crombie for the Brian Crombie Radio Wire on Saga 960. I'm on every night on 960 AM. You can stream me online at www.saga960am.ca for Canada, for those from the United States. .ca means .Canada. And probably